Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. I am doing a very, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. One of my son's toys just decided to make noise. It's very creepy. We are doing a book haul of all the books that I've bought this year because I waited too long. And now I have 26 books to show you. And I don't know, I'm a little bit horrified. First of all, because I also got a Kindle this year, and so I have been using my Kindle more, and yet I have acquired 26 books. But I don't really regret it because I love them and I love acquiring books. So it is what it is, and I am who I am. And so here we go. I think we will do this in chronological order of acquisition. So we are starting with January, and let's just get the most embarrassing book out of the way here. It is Wise Blood. Nope, on this side, Wise Blood by Flannery O'Connor. I picked this up because I was going to read it for Flannery O January, and I was by far the worst co-host of Flannery O January. I didn't read really any Flannery O'Connor. If you're wondering who was the worst host, it was me. And now I have this, and I will read it. I will read it possibly next January, but it is in my possession. I did start it. In all fairness, I moved in January, and that's when my life became absolutely insane, and it hasn't really stopped since January. So that's where we're at in life. But Wise Blood will be read someday. I was enjoying it. I have my bookmark, or a post-it note at least. I know I at least got through chapter 2 because I put some notes in there. So I did start it, so you can give me some credit, but not much. The next book was kindly gifted to me by the lovely Christy from Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space, my dear, dear friend, who is the nicest person ever. And this was actually a Christmas present. And this is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I have been wanting to try Adrian Tchaikovsky for so long. And not just because his name is Tchaikovsky, like my favorite one of my favorite composers. Maybe that's one reason I want to read him, but also because I've heard great things. And why is this freaking permanent stickers? How dare they? This is the beginning of, is it a trilogy? I'm not sure, but it is a sci-fi series that I have heard very good things about. And so maybe eventually, me and Christy can buddy read this together someday when we're both in the mood. So thank you so much, Christy, as always, for being literally the nicest person on the planet. I also have in January, well, actually, no, I did not acquire this in January, but I'm counting it as January because I did acquire the ebook in January, and that's Tress of the Emerald Sea. I did back the Kickstarter, and so I didn't receive this until April, actually, I think. Yeah, April. So that's when I actually received my hard copy. But I actually read it almost entirely on the ebook version. So I think I dipped in and out a little bit because there are some very beautiful illustrations. I did want to see them in person, and so I did use the book a little bit, but mostly I read the ebook. So I did actually read this, so hooray, a book in this haul that I've read, and I did it. I really enjoyed it. I think I went into it with sky high expectations, and so it's not it wasn't a 5-star book for me, which I was a bit bummed about. More bummed than I should have been. But it is a 4-star book, and so it is still very good. And that actually concludes January. I was actually pretty good in January. I didn't go crazy. I only acquired 3 books in January. So we started off the year very, very reasonable. And then February was also kind of reasonable, but the problem with February was that I discovered, so in the town that I moved to in January, I discovered that there is a adorable, wonderful, magical used bookstore that I love so much. And so I did become a patron of them, and I have been in there every month. And thus the book haul. So I love shopping used books. Let's actually start with the February book of the month book that I picked. I ended up skipping January, thus no book of the month in January. But February I did pick up Mommy by Jessica George, and I intended to read it by now, but I have not. So Mommy is a contemporary novel, and it is about a woman from Ghana, and she's living in London. I think she may have grown up in London for the most part. I'm not sure. But it just, something about this sounded really good to me. It's just like a young woman, possibly in her 30s. Yeah, I think in her 30s, which is also the place that I'm in life. And it just sounded really good. I also read like the sample they put on Book of the Month. They always like let you read the first like page of the book or something. And out of all the choices, I liked the writing of this one the most. So I do intend to get to this, and yeah, we'll see what I think. Don't know a whole lot about that one, but I will get to that one. Okay, now the used bookstore that I went into, did I really? Oh wow, so actually in February I was still quite restrained. So I got 4 books from my new favorite used bookstore. The first of those being, let's face it the right way, shall we? Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, and this was inspired by many people talking about Hilary Mantel because she did pass away fairly recently in the last year, and I had ashamedly not heard of her before. And so when she passed, everyone started going, oh my gosh, Hilary Mantel, wonderful, amazing writer, and like they just made her sound so good. So I picked up Wolf Hall, which is, I believe, is the first in a historical fiction series, which I don't think I've read very many, if any, historical fiction series, which is a big hole in my reading life, I will admit, and I think I would love it. I think I'm gonna love this from what I've heard, and this is about England in the 1520s, and I believe Thomas Cromwell is the focus of this whole series, I think. So it sounds great. Everyone seems to really praise her writing, and I haven't delved a whole lot into historical fiction series, so should be exciting. Was excited to find that in the used bookstore. Next up, I have The Hero in the Crown by Robin McKinley, and I have read this, but I read it as a young adult. This is a young adult fantasy novel, and for some reason, in a fit of insanity, I got rid of my Robin McKinley books. Why did I do such a thing? I don't know. I think I was like young and idiotic, and I was like, I'm never gonna read these again. And now I have been like dying to reread Robin McKinley because she's wonderful, and why did I do that? So now I'm trying to reacquire everything that I used to have. This is actually, I liked my old edition better. However, it was falling apart. I remember like pages falling out of this book, the one I had before. So it's probably good that I have a new copy. But it's not like, I don't know, it's not an edition I love. So if I found a better edition, like I used to have like a more of a trade paperback one that was like bigger and floppier. This is a mass market paperback, nothing wrong with it. I'm not a mass market paperback hater by any means. I do actually kind of adore them. So I do have this one. I think I'm just mad at myself that I got rid of my original copies that I had. So would love to reread this series eventually, and revisit Robin McKinley's wonderful writing. I also picked up a couple of classics. They have a great classics section at this used bookstore, and so I picked up some like truly old-timey looking covers as well. This you can't even tell what it is, but it is Silas Marner by George Eliot. I have read Middlemarch by George Eliot, and I will admit I was not in love. And I think it's a me problem and not George Eliot, because I do think I thought she was a brilliant writer, but I had a really hard time getting through Middlemarch. It felt like a slog to me. And again, I think it's a me problem. I actually intend on revisiting Middlemarch sometime when I'm a little bit more in the headspace for it. But this is Silas Marner, and I've heard that people tend to like this one maybe a little bit more than Middlemarch, if that's possible, or is that sacrilegious to say? I'm not sure. But Silas Marner is now in my possession, and it smells like kind of wonderful. I like that old used books smell. Some people think it's gross, but these pages in particular smell really good. So yeah, whenever I'm ready to try George Eliot again, I have one in my possession. The last book I got in February, yes, we're still in February, was The Vicar of Wakefield by Arthur Goldsmith. And I have read this in high school, though, so it's been a really long time. I don't really remember what my opinions were at the time, but I don't know, I was in high school, so did they really count? Did your opinions count in high school about literature? Some of mine, I don't count them. So I have read this, but it's been a really long time. And then I saw Christy she read this, I think, for the first time, and she like praised it and loved it. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I gotta revisit it because Christy said it's good. So I don't remember anything about it. So I gotta revisit it. It's got this cool, very cool edition. I just like, books that are ancient, but cool spine, gold. Yes, you see it. I can stop doing that now. That was February. So that moves us on to March. Now, March is when things get really crazy because March was my birthday month, and I kind of went off the deep end. Not only was it my birthday month, I was also really stressed out, and life has been really stressful. So I kind of went hog wild, and I bought the most amount of books in March. And I just treated myself basically. And do I regret it? No, absolutely not. So the first book I have to show you I took myself to Barnes & Noble. And so I got a bunch of books from Barnes & Noble. But I'm too cheap to really just absolutely go crazy in Barnes & Noble. So I did shop the buy one get one half off tables, which is kind of where I live at Barnes & Noble. So I got some paperbacks, and they were all on the buy one get one half off tables. So the first one of those is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And I recently read Babel by R.F. Kuang and liked it, had some problems with it as a book, but I liked it. And I do think she's a very talented writer. I think she's a very smart writer, and I would like to try her original series, which was all the rage when it first came out. Everyone was reading The Poppy War at the time. Except me, I didn't read it. So I do now have The Poppy War in my possession. I am looking forward to trying it out. Next up, I picked up The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle in the new Barnes & Noble reprint of it. Do I know anything about this? Only that it is highly praised and loved, really. And I was just like, sure, I'm gonna try it. So The Last Unicorn, who doesn't like unicorns? Is this actually about unicorns? I don't know. I hope so, because I like unicorns. No, there's an actual unicorn. It's not like a metaphor or something. But yeah, a girl, a unicorn, what could go wrong, right? Right. Next up from Barnes & Noble is Rules of Civility by Amor Tolls. Amor? You decide. Rules of Civility is Okay, so apparently I am just collecting his books because I now own 3 books by this man. I have not read any of them, but I own 3 of them. I picked this one up especially because Olive from the book Olive, it is her favorite book like of all time. And I know she has talked about how she reads it every year. And I love Olive's channel. And I think Olive is brilliant. And so if Olive loves a book, a fiction book, I'm going to take notice because I just think she has good taste. So Rules of Civility is now in my possession. But what do I start with? Do I start with Gentlemen of Moscow? Do I start with the Book of the Month one that I have, which, what's that called? I don't remember. I have, one of his books was something about like a train or a highway. My gosh, I wish I knew what the name of it was, but I have that one. And then now I have this one. So like, what do I start with? Do I start with this one? Do I start with Gentlemen of Moscow? Because that's the first one that I acquired. Probably. I should probably start there. But yes. Does he have more books? Do I now have all of his published works? If I do, and I haven't read them, do you have to be so loud? Okay. Apparently he does. So, moving on. Barnes & Noble. The last book I got from there was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I do really like Emily Henry. Why can't I say Emily? Emily Henry. I do really like her a lot. I've read 2 books by Emily Henry now, so hooray. And this one, 2? Yeah, 2. This one came out, I think, last year, and now she has a new one that came out this year. So I'm falling behind. For a while, I was like reading her books when they came out, but now I'm behind. So, Book Lovers, I've stayed away from reviews on this a little bit because I like Emily Henry, and I don't want any reviews to taint what I will think of it. So I think I'm gonna like it. I've liked everything else that I've read, and why wouldn't I like this? No good reason. So that was the Barnes & Noble haul. We are still in the month of March. Do not get me wrong. These are still books I bought in March. So I treated myself to the second book in the Farseer trilogy, the illustrated edition. I have the first illustrated edition, now I have the second, and now I just need to reread the first one so that I continue with the second. I have not continued with this, which is tragic because I did love The Assassin's Apprentice, and then I don't know what happened. I think I had too many books going at the time, and it just kept getting pushed away, and it's absolutely terrible that I've done that because Robin Hobb, I know I'm going to love everything about Robin Hobb. I just know it. So now I have this fancy copy. Yes, well worth the money, to be honest. Speaking of editions, so I have read all 3 of these books. So yay for more books in this haul that I have read. And we have the new Mistborn Prince by Tor. Yes, by Tor. The new floppy trade paperback Mistborn, and Well of Ascension. We're gonna have to flop them all. Okay, so just get used to that. If they're floppy, we're gonna flop them. Hero of Ages. It's amazing. The floppiness is truly astounding. Here's my opinion. Here's my opinion on these. Honestly, not like the best covers ever, but better. So, do I absolutely love these covers? They're okay. I think they could have done better actually, but they are better than what we were given with the mass markets. Whew, those cover. I'm just gonna say it. Those are some stinker covers. Like truly. And I like fantasy covers that are cheesy and like old, but the Mistborn covers of the mass market paperbacks, like the ones that I have, the ones, they're awful. They're just awful. Awful artwork. So, I'll take these. These are decent. They're decent. Are they the best? No. They certainly could have done better. Are they floppy? Heck yes, they are floppy. So can't really lose there. Excited to have those in my collection. They also look pretty dang good on my shelf. So not mad about that. The next one was also a gift from Christy, who is once again the best. She's the best. We would like to read this together. It is CloudCuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I have read an Anthony Doerr book and loved it. I loved All of the Light You Cannot See. All the Light We Cannot See. All the Light You Cannot See. Don't remember if it's you or we, but I did love it. Totally fell in love with this author. CloudCuckoo Land has been on my radar since it was first released, and I tried to read it on NetGalley, and I think I got rejected because I am a terrible NetGalley person, but super want to read this. And it is like, I don't know, it sounds complex. It's like multiple perspectives and multiple time periods, including the future. There's like a future timeline in this, like way into the future. So there's like ancient timeline, there's a sort of present-ish timeline, yeah, present day, or what we would consider present day, and then there is a like a futuristic part of this that's like on an interstellar ship, and so that just sounds like wild and wacky in the best possible way. So yeah, and I trust this author to do something really interesting with his stories. So I'm really excited for this one, and hopefully me and Christy will buddy read that one. Whew, okay, we're not too far away from the end of the March stack. We're getting there. Actually, yeah, we just have the March book of the month that I picked up. So I decided to go with, in March, The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi. And this is, I believe, by Shannon Chakraborty. This is pirates, fantasy pirates. That's all I know. And I think it's the first in a series as well, which I try not to like do the series thing with the book of the month, but you know, I figure if I love this first book, I will probably just get like a matching edition later. But it does kind of, I don't know, that's the one downside about book of the month, is that when they do release the first book in a series, you're kind of stuck with like the book of the month edition, and then all the rest of your books in the series are not gonna match. So it's kind of a problem. But I figured I'd try it. If I continue in the series, then we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. But what I really should read is The City of Brass, because that is this person's kind of magnum opus, if you will. And I have some close personal friends who absolutely love City of Brass, and so that's really probably where I should start. But I don't have City of Brass, I have this one, so we'll see what happens. And then because it was March, I got a free book in my book of the month box, and for my free one I decided to go historical fiction. I went The Last Russian Doll by, oh my gosh, by Kristen Loesch. And this is set in Russia, clearly, and it's in Moscow at that. What else do I know about it? Apparently nothing. Oh, 1917 revolution to the last days of the Soviet Union. Okay, so that's our time period. And yeah, I haven't actually read a lot of like Russian historical fiction. Yeah, I've read some Russian classics, but not Russian historical fiction. So that actually might be a first for me. But the cover is beautiful on this one, so I was definitely excited about that. Oh my goodness, this video is already 25 minutes long. Whew, okay, that was March. So April, I lost all self-control again, and I went back to the used bookstore that I'm in love with. I went back there and I got some more stuff. Yeah, actually, that's about it. So I went back in there and I went a little nuts and bought things that I don't know anything about. One of those things is this first book in a series, which is called The King's Dragon by Kate Elliott. And I just wanted, like, to start a fantasy. I've been in a fantasy mood, and so my purchases have been reflecting that. Even though I don't know anything about this, I don't know if this is any good. I don't know how many books are in this. It could be like 20 books for all I know. But it's, what do I know about this? Pretty much nothing other than I love a good old fantasy cover, and I love a good thick mass market paperback, apparently, and I love a good used bookstore. So all those things combined for me to pick this up. I also, I feel like out of this era, is this a fantasy book written in the 80s? No, later, 1987. If you know anything about this, I would love to know. I also just, like, whenever I see, like, female fantasy authors who write big long series, I always want to, like, try them out, because I feel like that whole era of the 80s and 90s, you know, tends to be dominated by men. So I saw Kate Elliott on here and I was like, heck yeah, let's try it. Wheel of Time Who? I do not know if this is any good. We're gonna find out someday. Let me know if you know anything at all. Anything. I don't even know if I read the back. Did I? I don't know. Apparently something about a civil war in this fantasy kingdom. So it's all we need. All we need to know. Next up, I have been wanting to try some Edgar Rice Burroughs, and so I picked up Tarzan of the Apes. Is this a good place to start with Edgar Rice Burroughs? Let me know, but Tarzan of the Apes is a title that I recognize, so I went with it, and, you know, I know the story. Thanks, Disney. Disney Tarzan movie is great, by the way. If you've never seen it, you probably have, but it's a good Disney movie, for the record. Next up, we have another fantasy book that I know nothing about, which, you know, I was just in that mood, apparently, and apparently I think I bought the wrong start. I think I'm not supposed to start here, but I bought the first book in the Serpent War Saga by Raymond E. Feist. I was like, what's his initial? E. Raymond E. Feist. It's called Shadow of a Dark Queen. And then what I found out later, after I picked this up, is that you're supposed to really start with the Rift War Saga. So this will be for a rainy day, but now I need to go, and I am going to do that. I'm going to get the first book in the Rift War Saga. He apparently is an extremely prolific fantasy author, but not really talked about on BookTube. I guess just because it's older. I don't know. It's like everyone, if it's old fantasy, people talk about the Wheel of Time, and then maybe like a few other things, but mostly Raymond E. Feist I don't see talked about on BookTube, so I'm just so curious. This one's written in the 90s, so I think he was like an 80s, 90s author. But he said, the booktuber that I can't remember their name, so sorry, said that Feist is great. So I do want to try it, but I did get the beginning of the wrong series. So I will go back and get the first book in the Rift War Saga. And then when we're ready for the Serpent War Saga, we have it. Again, I just no self-restraint in that used bookstore. I enter into the doors and then anything can happen. I also picked up in that same April haul, I picked up Oh Pioneers by Willa Cather. And I did mean to read this with Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia, and this was their Patreon book club pick, and I did not have time to get to it, but now I have it, and I do want to get to it. It sounds like people really liked it. So Willa Cather is an author I've never read before, and now I can try her someday. And then one more, a classic that I bought in April, and that is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. As a person who self-proclaims that they love Thomas Hardy, I've only actually read 2 or 3 of them, and Tess of the D'Urbervilles is not one of them that I've read. So now I have this. It matches some of my other Barnes & Noble Classics editions. And yeah, Thomas Hardy, we will come back to you sometime, hopefully soon. And then, that's, okay, so just 2 more, guys. This video it's actually not as long as I thought it was going to be. So 2 more books, and these were my May book of the month picks. So in May, I've been good. I've been very good. May is halfway over, a little more than halfway, and I haven't even gone in the little bookstore, okay? So we've sort of calmed down. But with this book I've actually started. I am currently reading this. It's The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mika Brammer. This is actually a debut novel by this author, and the premise just sounded interesting. It's about a girl who is a death doula, is her title. And so all that means is she hangs out with people in their dying days. She sits there, holds their hand, listens to them talk, whatever they need, really. And she doesn't like offer advice or anything. She's just like a person to be with people when they are alone and dying, basically. And so far, I like it. I like the writing. I like our main character, and she's you know, she's kind of like a loner herself, and so I'm assuming we're going to see Clover like kind of come into her own maybe and blossom a little bit. So yeah, just a light contemporary that's about death. I have a feeling it has maybe grief themes in here too. So if I were to guess, we'll see. I'm only like a few chapters in, so that one. And then I also got in May, I couldn't resist. They had an add-on that just sounded really good. A historical fiction. I keep picking up historical fiction. Maybe I need to read some historical fiction. Like actually just sit down and read them, because I keep buying them. And this is The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patty Callahan Henry. And this is a World War II novel, which, you know, World War II novels, they have been done. They have been done a lot. But this one sounded particularly good. It's about sisters, and I think they get separated. One of them works in this cozy bookstore, which was, you know, kind of the buzzword here, because of course you want to read a book with a cozy, rare bookstore in it. And I think she starts to like get letters or something from her sister, who she assumed was dead. And they made like this magical land that only the siblings knew about. And suddenly she's like, somebody knows about the magical land, and she's like, wait, how do you know about that? Only me and my sister knew about that. That was not a good synopsis, guys. And possibly not completely accurate, but that's the gist of it. You know, World War II, sisters, and cozy bookstore. What else could you want? Also a very pretty cover. Love the cover. And that'll do it. Those are all the books that I've picked up this year to date. I'm going to definitely try to slow it down a little bit in the rest of the year. I don't want to keep up. We definitely can't do what we did in March. We can't do that again. Yeah, we got a lot of books in March. So what we need to do is read and get through some of these books. But I'm not a person, while I joke around about it, I'm not a person who is stressed out too much by having a big TBR and by having books at home that I haven't read. I kind of like it. So it's not a bad thing at all. But you know, space is a problem. But I moved to this new house, so now I have more space, right? Right, correct. Or so we tell ourselves. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm still in the middle of like figuring out backdrop, lighting. I'm filming at nighttime, and so I'm sorry about the less than ideal lighting on this one, but I didn't want to go on without filming this video, because My goodness. 26 books was plenty to talk about. So let me know if you have any thoughts or opinions about any of the books that I have acquired, or if you want a buddy read any of them. Do let me know, because I have not had a buddy read in a while, and so I would love to like get back into that and read with you all. So let me know. But thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, go ahead and leave a stack of books emoji. I think there is one. There's like a little stack. You know what I mean? If not, just leave a book emoji. If I'm absolutely insane about that and completely incorrect. But yes, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Keep reading great books, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.